Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about why the ending of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 15 should be making you take a closer look at the flash forward sequence between Boruto and Kawaki that we saw at the start of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, which is why in today's newest Naruto Explain video, we're going to show how the flash forward sequence in terms of how we get to it is making a whole lot more sense now. Things are coming into picture, especially Kawaki's words about sending Boruto where he sent the 7. So when we take a look at chapter 15, one of the things that quickly becomes clear is that during the conversation between Boruto and Kawaki, despite everything that had happened between the two, there was still a level of love that existed between them that they shared for one another, which some fans would argue Kawaki's undeserving of after everything he's done to Boruto. Despite Kawaki sealing away Boruto's parents, trying to kill him, trying to take his life via omnipotence, framing him for the death of his parents who was still alive, having Boruto chased out of the only village he's ever called home, and being willingly sitting back, content with Konoha going to execute Boruto for crimes that he never committed, Boruto still did not distrust or even hate Kawaki. Instead, he came back to the village. He waited patiently for Kawaki, hoping to speak to him privately once he knew that Kawaki would pick up on his chakra signature, and he proceeded to tell him the truth, a truth that Boruto couldn't even tell one of his closest friends who he'd known for a full decade longer than he had ever known Kawaki. Boruto told Kawaki the truth about the spreading of his karma seal in terms of losing control over and his worry that Momoshiki would hijack his body, and basically implying that the next time it happened, Boruto didn't think that he could control it. Boruto told Kawaki, but he never told Sarada or Class Rep any of that information, which is a telling thing, and it shows that this is a trust in a boy who he once called and still views as being a brother, as still being family. When Kawaki heard this, his reaction wasn't some over-the-top exaggeration like, "You darned Sasuke, I'll kill you here and now." It was nothing like that. It was a genuine shock and concern for someone who, even after everything had happened, we were told by Ada that Kawaki still viewed Boruto as being like family, even though he was behaving like a coward. Boruto's words confirmed something that Kawaki had already suspected during their brief fight before, which is that Boruto couldn't control his karma, because otherwise Boruto's karma wouldn't have caught on against his will, even with the resonance factor, because Boruto was clearly scared out of his mind and he panicked when it occurred. For Kawaki, this wasn't an enemy telling him some glaring weakness. This was someone telling him, someone who he cared for, sharing their deepest and darkest fears and literally asking him for help. Towards the end, where he tells Kawaki, "Next time I get taken over, do not hesitate to kill me." It showed that Boruto was once again placing a heavy burden on the shoulders of the one who he viewed as family. "Save me from myself. Don't let me be the reason why the people I love and I care about are dead. If you truly love me like a brother, then you know I don't want this in my suffering if the situation calls for it." And now that Sasuke's out of the equation, only Kawaki can do it. Boruto was willing to be a martyr for his village, for the entire ninja world, just as he was willing to do the same thing when he was 12 years old. Because in life, there are times where the toughest decisions, they require the strongest of wills. We've all heard that before, but we are seeing it now, because this requires you to give up something more precious than yourself, something even more precious than your own life, which in this case, that thing more precious than his own life is the chance to spend time with the family and friends who he cares for, including Kawaki, someone who Boruto told Kashin Koji he wanted to reunite with as part of the Uzumaki family once again, and he refused to kill Kawaki under any circumstances. Boruto was willing to throw all that away for the sake of protecting his village from himself, because he thought that the thought of him being the one who killed those who were closest to him that he cared for would be something unbearable for someone like Boruto, who is more than content with dying for the justified cause. The prospect of having the blood of his little sister on his hands is a fate that is far worse than death, and Boruto, he couldn't live with himself. Boruto wasn't just telling Kawaki that Amato had placed limiters on his power. that prevented him from reaching full attack power, but it wasn't just so they could take down Jura and the awakened Shinju that comprise of Jura's army. He was also telling him this information because Boruto is setting up a contingency plan for Momoshiki. With how strong Boruto's gotten via Kashin Koji's training, where he taught him all the jutsu of all the different versions of Boruto from possible timelines where they each failed to defeat Jura, this current Boruto, the Prime Boruto as I like to call him, is way too powerful for anyone to take down because of how much higher than Jigen Boruto currently scales. Think about it for a second. For everything that we've seen Boruto do right now, we haven't seen his full power in base just yet. We might have seen close to full base power, but we have not seen the full thing. Nor have we ever seen him use the basic amp that comes from just cutting on the Karma seal, let alone the full power Karma that comes from version 2 Karma, where Boruto manifests the Eye of Momoshiki, and most importantly, he manifests the Horn of Momoshiki. That becomes a level of power that you could argue, even though we haven't seen Daemon at full power, this might be a level of power that not even Daemon's able to take down, which is why Boruto is seemingly taking Kawaki as a countermeasure. Kawaki once said, only an Otsutsuki is truly capable of killing another Otsutsuki. He strongly implied it, telling Sarada the difference between himself and Boruto is that Kawaki is an Otsutsuki uniquely set up to kill other Otsutsuki, and he's not wrong. This was far from Kawaki just smelling his piss, as the old folks like to say. Kawaki is more than Otsutsuki. He is a cyborg, a mechanically enhanced human who has additional buffs that make the Otsutsuki genetics he possesses and the power of Isshiki that he can utilize, something even more to worry about when you view things from that perspective. Just as Kashin Koji was able to say, I was programmed to kill you, Kawaki can say the same thing. They are both cyborgs, uniquely set up to fight Otsutsuki. When Kawaki told Boruto that he was going to catch up to him, this wasn't some simple shonen cliche, you're my rival, bro, I'm gonna catch up to you. It runs way deeper than that, much deeper than that. It was Kawaki saying, I understand the assignment, my brother. We'll take down Jura and then I'll end your suffering for you, even if you aren't in a position where Momoshiki takes over again. The fear of Momoshiki potentially taking over because you've lost control. It isn't something you should ever have to live with hanging over your head, and I'm going to take that fear from you. It's basically Kawaki committing a mercy kill, if you will, for Kawaki to end Boruto's suffering. Kawaki knows the burden that he's taking on by agreeing to kill Boruto. The hate that will come, even if he gets the truth about omnipotence, if it ever comes out, even if it never becomes public knowledge. We saw his reaction after he killed Boruto the first time, the way he hanged his head with the knowledge, the belief that he killed his friend, and he fully expected himself to be punished for it and was willing to be punished right there on the spot without any type of resistance or any questions being asked. There's an unseen burden to Kawaki for agreeing to carry this out, but that brings us to the flash forward sequence and ultimately the center topic of the video. Something has clearly changed in the time since we get to the events of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 15 and the inevitable flash forward sequence. Boruto and Kawaki, they're clearly at odds, but one thing is for certain, Kawaki is in a position where he has clearly gotten stronger since this moment in time, and something has happened to place these two at odds. Part of it is obviously Kawaki's mad lad obsession with the only way to protect Naruto is by killing his son because Momoshiki is a threat, which technically he's not wrong there. I know that pisses people off, but he's not wrong. Momoshiki is a major threat given how powerful Boruto is and will continue to grow in power. But Boruto does appear to be in better control of its power when they clash. Yet Boruto states he didn't think Kawaki would go this far. With it being implied, Kawaki went full scorched earth here before Konoha was destroyed, before their fight on top of the Hokage monument. This newest chapter does make me wonder if Kawaki doesn't take a reverse course of action here. Kawaki's killed Boruto once, only to watch him come back to life. There are things with the Otsutsuki clan that they still do not know everything about. Too many unknowns for a hardcore consequentialist like Kawaki, who values results more than the morals that were crossed in order to reach said results. There might be something to Kawaki coming to the conclusion that he can't know with certainty that Boruto won't come back to life if he ever kills him. It requires taking Momoshiki's words at face value as a one-time thing, which Kawaki would never do. And I do believe Momoshiki told the truth to Boruto when he said that, especially after Kashin Koji made it clear that Juro would kill Boruto, though he didn't give us specifics. However, that's where it's important to remember the concept of dramatic irony. We know, but the audience is not Kawaki. Boruto knows about Juro. Kawaki right now, as we are in the manga, he does not know that Juro kills Boruto and that Boruto can't ever come back to life. That last one is the most important one. Only Boruto, Koji, and we as the audience know that information. It is a central theme to understand when looking at the conflict. The idea of Kawaki choosing to forego killing Boruto, but to instead opt to seal him away in the daikokuten dimension, it makes a ton more sense when you think about it. The database, it says that this is a dimension that belonged to Isshiki that Kawaki inherited through his karma seal, which makes it exclusive to Isshiki. Time, it does not flow there, which means whoever is sent there, they do not move, they do not age. While we can't say with certainty that this applies to Otsutsuki, we do know that even Otsutsuki, they're not immune to any type of sealing, because the six-pass Chibaku Tensei that Hagoromo embedded into Naruto and Sasuke's chakra seals when they sealed Kaguya into the Chibaku Tensei, while simultaneously draining her chakra to absolute zero, hence why the Boruto movie data book and the Japanese Naruto manga refer to her as being dead in the former, and in the latter referring to her needing to be resurrected, not unsealed, which means dead, because those are two different kanji. The idea of Kawaki choosing to spare himself the pain of having to kill his brother, but instead place him in a dimension where time doesn't flow, it's not out of character, it's very in character when you think about it. We saw he was obsessed enough with Naruto that he did it. Naruto, someone who he viewed like a father. It's not crazy to say that he seals away someone who he views as a brother, especially if he's under the belief that once he's in that dimension, his Shinjutsu, that Boruto and Momoshiki won't be able to teleport out of it via the karma seal, because it is directly connected to him. It is exclusive to him. And if the freezing of time applies, then it is a moot point. They don't ever escape. That would be a very interesting approach, though the layers that it would add to Boruto and Kawaki's relationship, particularly if he removes Naruto and Hinata while simultaneously attempting to seal Boruto, it would be something truly fascinating to see. Back in 2016, when the first chapter dropped, the reason why so many of us were under the assumption that Kawaki had killed Naruto is that the lettering in Japanese that he used was extremely similar to what was used when Zabuza referred to Haku sending Naruto and Sasuke away, and that Zabuza would send Kakashi to the same place. In that instance, the word killed or death, it was never used. But again, Japanese is a context-heavy language, and it does not translate into English verbatim. Hence why you hear me say, even with official translations, always be careful. So at the time, it felt as if that was the direction that this was going. But the benefit of hindsight, now that we have it, this makes even more sense in my opinion. Almost as much sense as the intricate layers to the deeply complex character of Juro, which my new video essay here on the left breaks down. And over here on the right, we have the newest video from Anime Explained, where I discuss non-Naruto content.